All right. Shalom, shalom. Like to start out by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Kol Haloim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone and brothers that are like-minded. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that's scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shuab Omawan back at you with another lesson. All right, and what I want to go into is a couple different topics. All right, news and prophecy. Shouldn't be long. All right, but you never know. But let's grab my first video. All right, going into this weather. All right, we're about to get some heavy weather. All right, a very cold front that's coming. All right, upon this place, and the scriptures say. All right, let's grab that one. This is Matthew 24. So like it, Isaiah 24. So like it. This is oh no, actually it was Matthew 24. This is Matthew 24 and give me 1 second. 24 and 20. And it says, but pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day, which is the Sabbath actually right now, Shabbat Shalom. All right. But yeah, this video I'm about to bring out, all right, is telling you about the weather that we're about to have, some severe cold fronts, all right, very chilly weather, all right, and that's what made me think about this scripture, all right. You pray that your flight be not in the winter, all right, meaning your escape, okay. So let's grab this first one.
Some of you are about to experience the snowiest winter in years.
Hold on,
this winter is shaping up to be a war, a battle between competing atmospheric forces that's going to divide
Let me put this on my Bluetooth. It's lucky. I had to restart it.
We have crunched the numbers. We've analyzed 7 analog winters going back to 19. We're about to experience the snowiest winter in years. This winter is shaping up to be a war, a battle between competing atmospheric forces that's going to divide America right down the middle. And I'm going to tell you exactly what that means for your backyard. We have crunched the numbers. We've analyzed 7 analog winters going back to 1989. We've looked at every forecast model, from the American ones to the Canadians to the Europeans, and they're all telling the same story. Some of you are about to experience the snowiest winter in years. I'm talking 120 to 150% of normal, and others could be in a snow drought. We're talking about 50 to 70% of normal snowfall rate. This is not just another winter forecast. This is about a weak La Nina that's barely hanging on, a polar vortex that's showing signs of instability, and a Pacific decadal oscillation that's in its strongest negative phase in years. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what all that means and what it means for your backyard as far as how much snow you're going to get. And it's all backed by science and historical precedent.
So you heard him, man. We're going to have some serious weather, all right? And it's crazy because you've been able to tell in the moon and in the sun and the stars, okay, the way everything aligns up, all right, the way you've been seeing the sun come out at the same time as the sun, okay. I mean, so like the moon coming out at the same time as the sun, you see. As a matter of fact, let me grab this. This is This is 1 and 14 in Genesis, and it says, and Yahweh said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. Okay. So, you're able to tell, you know, the way the sun is shining, the way the moon comes out, all right, what type of time frame we're going to be in when it comes to the weather. On top of that, you have this devil that's constantly doing a whole bunch of weather manipulation, all right, using Project Bluebeam to cover up the sun, cover up the moon, okay? These are the different types of things this devil does, man. All right, let me grab this. This is, I believe it's 43rd chapter in Ecclesiasticus. Let me see. Yeah, this is 43 and 6. All right. Ecclesiasticus, it says, he made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. For the moon is the sign of feasts, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. All right. And this is how you get the word month. All right. This is how we're supposed to, you know, follow the Sabbath. Okay. It says the month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. Okay. But, you know, the point was that it's that he made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times. Okay. And again, you can tell, you know, Issachar was good at that. Issachar was good at being able to navigate through the stars, understanding the times and the, you know, the seasons, all right, all through the stars. Okay, so, you know, you could tell when certain stars come out, certain things align, you know, every year, you know exactly what time you're in, you see. So, you know, we about to enter into some heavy weather, all right, heavy weather forecast, all right, that's gonna have us, you know, praying to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man. And I remember a few years back, you know, you had that one cold front that came in. You had people that were dying out on the streets that were bums, man. All right. And it's going to be even more intensified in these last days. All right. Let me see if I got one. In the Apocrypha. Yes, lucky. Now let's go to this video. Another one kind of circulating around with the same thing.
They're saying that we're about to walk into one of the coldest seasons ever. They're saying that the Northeast is about to get hit with temperatures so low that it could be catastrophic. You heard what I just said? They said that we're about to get hit with temperatures so low before Christmas that things can get catastrophic. Our water source can be frozen. Pipes can bust. Now they're saying that this is the Northeast, but it's usually cold on the Northeast. But they're saying that the type of cold that it's going to be, we ain't never experienced before. Mind you, let's take a look at what's been going on in other places because of snow and cold weather. This is a highway in Illinois. 50-car pileup. People lost their lives. This is because of the cold and the snow. Mind you, it's not even winter yet. And if it's going to be this cold before winter, because winter starts December 21st, just imagine how cold it could possibly be after winter hits. Y'all better get ready for this shit. And let's pray for the people who ain't got nowhere to live, because it's about to get real cold out. I know. They're saying that we're about to walk into one of the...
So now we know that a lot of judgment is about to go out, all right, in this weather time. And this weather change that we're about to have. And this is why I read that scripture, all right, that, you know, we got to prepare ourselves with Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, man, and pray that your flight be not in the winter, because if this shit goes down, we might have to try to escape, all right, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah in the time of it being cold, you see. But us putting on the mind of Yahweh Shah and putting on as the elect, all right, we're not going to worry about these things. All right, because remember, these scriptures is what's going to keep you sane in those days. These scriptures, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, was going to keep you stable. Okay, it could be cold out here, right? It could be below zero, and everybody, you know, getting frostbites and, you know, pretty much dying off because of this winter. All right, but us having this word, which is what? The fire. All right, let's grab that. This is, all right, this truth will keep you warm. This is Jeremiah 23:29. It says, "Is not my word like as a fire, saith the Lord Yahweh, and like a hammer that does that, Salaki, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces." Okay, so, you know, regardless of what time we're in with this cold that's coming, all right, you got to remember this word is like a fire, man. So this word is going to keep you, you know, heated. All right, this is why you have to constantly meditate on the word, because when times like that come, there's going to be no time for your mind to react to it, because it's constantly on scripture. All right, you're constantly in tune with the Lord, you know, whether it be through fasting, you know, whatever. All right, the Lord is going to sustain you in those times. We're going to cast our burdens upon the Lord. Okay, and the Lord is going to provide for us. The Lord is going to fight for us through those cold nights. All right, those cold times. All right, because if we have to become pilgrims on that time, man, it's going to be wild for us. All right, but we going to have our full trust in Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai and nothing else. All right, because we understand that Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai is what saves us, man. That's our salvation. All right, so remember, whenever you cold, all right, even if you're on the highways and hedges and it's cold as hell, because it gets real cold, especially where I'm at, you know, certain times of the month. All right, it'll get real heavy with the cold. But if you preaching His word, if you meditating on His word, all right, the Lord's word is like a fire, man. All right, and it's gonna warm you up at the end of the day. All right, so be prepared for those times. All right, let's grab this. This is it says Americans will turn that off. It says Americans with college degrees now make up 25% of all unemployment. Okay, they make up all 25% of unemployment. You see, and that goes to show you how overrated college is, man. All right, college is just made to put your ass in debt, and you paying the so-called white man for the rest of your days. You know, he can always garnish your check. You know, all of that. But you know, it just goes to show that going to college and having this degree ain't shit. All right, especially when the Lord said that the knowledge of this world is foolishness to the eyes of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. So again, you know, these things, all right, of us, you know, not having jobs is all prophecy. Okay. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 12. This is 12 and oh no, Salaki, hold on. Come on. My shit is all getting stuck right now. Phone's tripping. This is Ecclesiastes 12:3, and it says, "In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease." Okay, and that's talking about employment, all right, because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. Yeah, all right, when there's no employment, all right, you know, especially ain't gonna be no unemployment. Okay, because the Esau making it hard. He knows exactly what time frame we're in, man. You see, here it is that we're supposed to be measuring the time diligently in itself, but you got Esau, because he know that he got but a short time. He's also, you know, measuring the time diligently. Okay, so, you know, at the same time, simultaneously, he's trying to shut this shit down, shut down the employment. All right, for us to be put in bad scenarios, bad predicaments. All right, to put us in desperate measures and desperate times. Right, calls for desperate measures at the end of the day. All right, so it says, "And the doors shall be shut in the streets, man, because all these places that were once sown, all right, now they're gonna be unsown. All right, whether it be through looting, you know, whether it be through this place closing down because there's not enough money on the budget to pay people. All right, or whatever. All right, because people ain't finding jobs. All right, so if you one that ain't got a job, all right, don't feel bad, man. You ain't the only one. All right, there's a lot of brothers that ain't got jobs. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that ain't even in this truth that can't find jobs. All right, and they wicked as hell. So the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So they should be able to find. But hey, the fact of the matter is that Esau is collapsing America, and this is why it's hard to find jobs right now, man. All right, and 25% of those that went to school, all right, they ain't even finding no damn work. All right, to the point where it gets to, you're gonna have people with master's degrees, man, and they're not gonna be able to find no work. And again, that shit is all overrated going to college. All right. I know people that make more money just doing, work on the side and, having just regular jobs, but, good trades, and they make more than those that go to school for with a master's degree. They come out and they still got to look for work. You see? And that's because YAHAWAH'S is making it hard upon this place. And it says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall raise up at the voice of the bird, and the daughters of music shall be brought low. Okay. So it's gonna be so quiet out here with no unemployment. I mean, with no employment, right? Because America is a place that, it's constant noise in America. All these different types of jobs that are around us. All right, they making, hella noise. All right, you got all the cleaning of different machines when you got construction workers out there. Okay, all that. So like all that is gonna, be shut down when the sound of the grinding is low. Okay, as the scriptures tell you in Isaiah, what was that? Isaiah 19. All right, that Egypt shall fail. All right, so everything here is gonna be done for. All right, this is matter of fact, let's grab 15. It says 19 and 15 in Isaiah. It says, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, all right, branch or rush may do. You see, nobody's going to be able to have work. Okay. And, the funny thing is that Esau be trying to starve us out because he's going to try to put us into a certain situation to make a bow down to him. You see, but it's going to be funny because in the kingdom, there's going to be plenty of work for these devils. All right. Especially them serving, in slavery. All right. There's going to be never ending tasks for you to do here in America, and not America, because Babylon the Great ain't going to be here. All right. But where the kingdom is at, all right, which is going to be established here on earth. All right. There's going to be plenty of tasks for you to do. All right. You're never going to have days off. There's going to be no such thing as an unemployment line. All right. Brothers is going to make sure that your ass is working. Okay. So, enjoy it now while you're trying to make us fall apart. All right. Through not having no jobs, having no money. All right. We don't depend on the things of the world. We depend on YAHAWAH'S. Right. So it says, let's grab that again at 15 and 19. Isaiah, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Okay. And in that day, you're not going to have the head, telling us what to do. Okay. Because remember, they were the head and we were the tail. So we were following after everything they would do. All right. We have to follow these damn devils for us to get a paycheck. All right. But it's going to be a time when nobody is going to have nothing, because it's going to be an evil time, because YAHAWAH'S is going to put an end and a collapse to this place. All right. And then it's going to have everybody pretty much, hypnotized. Like, damn, I can't believe this shit is happening. People going to start offing themselves. People going to start, offing their children because they don't want to be home with them. They can't stand it. These are the times that we're heading into, man. Very perilous times. Okay. So let's read that again. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or tail, branch or rush must do. Salakia. Which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Okay. Let's go back and finish. I believe I finished it anyway. Ecclesiastes 12 and 5. It says, also when they stand and when they shall be afraid of that which is high, the fears shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail. You know, that's going to be the main thing. When everything shuts down, desire is going to fail. Okay, because, you know, these people don't have a vision. All right, and where there is no vision, the people perish. Okay, so, you know, these people trusting in their gods and trusting in the things that they love the most, all right, they're gonna all fail. Okay, and they're gonna fall off of it. You see, they're gonna fall apart when these things fail, because these are the things that they depended on so much. Okay, that's why Isaiah the 30th chapter tells you, woe to the rebellious children that, you know, take a covering but not a covering of me. You see, they take counsel but not of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, you know, to be able to understand the times that we're going into. See, this is why it's important for you to have this truth, man. All right, because that's going to be the stability of those times. We're going to be stable as hell in our minds, you know, when we ain't got no jobs, we ain't got no more money, understanding that this place is collapsing. This is the Lord collapsing this place little by little. Okay, so the grinding is going to be low. All right, let's just grab this real quick. This is Second Ezra's. This is Second Ezra's. I want to say 22 around there. Give me 1 second. Yeah, 22. It says, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Okay, because of the lack of work. All right, the lack of bread, and because of the lack of bread, all right, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. Okay, let's grab that real quick. Second Ezra's 15 and second, this is 19. Grab it from 18. It says, for because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. All right, with Jacob's trouble, you know, things like this, no jobs, no work. Okay, it says, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Okay, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. You see, the lack of bread, they ain't gonna have enough money. All right, we work now today, and we could barely, you know, make ends meet. All right, going to Haggai. Let's go to Haggai real quick. I haven't hit that in a while. This is Haggai 1 and 6. All right, and it says, ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put into a bag with holes. You see? So you're going to be making just enough for you to be able to just get by. All right, and so pretty much the Lord pulls the cord on America, and then no one's going to have no work. You see? No one's going to be able to survive out here, man. That's why it's going to be survival of the fittest out here. All right, but we're going to be seeking the Lord. All right, it's as the scriptures say, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and he hides himself. We're going to be hiding in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. We're going to be remembering these words that are going to give us that faith, that push to continue on. You see, and ultimately the Lord is going to fight for you, and you're going to hold your peace. All right, because you kept the word of his patience. You see, so let's go to another video. So it says Americans with college degrees now make up 25% of unemployed. That's wild to hear that. You know, you spend all that money, take all this time, all right, trying to you know, make it big in society, you know, just to find out that, damn, I got a master's degree, but I'm part of the fucking unemployment line today. You see? Let's grab this. This is
we are going to make America great again. Yes, we will make America strong. We will make America.
Yeah, they're just singing a dumbass song, putting it together, talking about America's gonna be made great again. But it says Trump's bankrupt economy. Tyson Food is closing its beef processing plant in Lexington, Nebraska, with 3,200 employees. Man, all right, and this is why you have AI taking over. This is why you have this new world order that's about to be set in place with robots. You know, because at the end of the day, they want to be able to put you on that universal basic income. All right, which that's one of the things, one of the tactics to keep you connected to this AI infrastructure that they're building. You see, having you on that system and being able to monitor you at all times. So how can they monitor you? By making you sit your ass at home, all right, and then basically giving you this universal basic income that everyone's gonna fall for. All right. Oh, no, I love that, man. I'm getting paid $2,000 a month for sitting on my ass. But yeah, you being detected on every move that you're doing. All right. They're taking your carbon footprint. They're watching what you spend your money on, what you like to use the most. You see, your privacy levels is out the way. Okay. This is what this devil's planning to constantly do, man. Be in your thoughts. All right. So, they take away these jobs, all right, to make it even harder on society, all right, to collapse it. All right. And this is going to bring nothing but what? All right. This is going to bring famine, you see, because now they're cutting off, Tyson Foods, all right, is closing its beef processing plant. So, how are we going to be able to get certain type of foods in, That means that there ain't going to be no foods. And this is why they keep throwing you all these different types of 3D printed meats. You got all this meat that's glued up together, beef mixed with pork, and they just tell you it's fucking filet mignon, man. This is what this damn wicked ass nigga is doing to us, man. Starving us slowly. All right. And this is why, they're not gonna have to beg you to take on their RFID, man. You're gonna beg for them, because when they starve you, all right, and they stop feeding you them drinks of water, all right, that's what's gonna make the people hangry. That's what's gonna make the people, get into survival of the fittest mode. All right, because you're not gonna have nothing to land back on. You see, and these people don't know what fasting is about. They don't know what it's like to, not eat a couple of days. These people can't eat no more than, they can't go no more than fucking 5 hours without eating. Oh, my stomach hurt, I'm hungry, I'm dying. That's the type of mentality these people got. All right, because we're spoiled. We eat 3-4 times a day. You're not supposed to eat like that, man. You're supposed to eat one good meal, and then the rest, you're supposed to, keep yourself, hydrated with water. You're supposed to keep yourself eating them fruits and them vegetables. All right. And just get that one good meal and be content with what you have, but because these people, have been spoiled, and they live in the life of obesity. All right. They want to eat 3-4 times a day, man. And especially when it's processed food and food that's, not even healthy for your body, it makes your body react in a certain manner when you don't have it. You know what I'm saying? When you start going through mood swings, you ready to fight somebody. You know what I'm saying? Over a couple French fries from McDonald's. You like the seagulls when you throw the fucking fries in the air, man. A whole shitload of them come around. So, this is how the people gonna act. All right, and you basically got Esau dangling food right in front of you, and that's how he's gonna be able to control you. If you could control the resources, the sources that we use the most, all right, well then, hey, they're gonna be able to run the show like that. You see, but again, it says Tyson's Food is closing its beef processing plant. All right, so there's gonna be a lot of damn. As a matter of fact, I didn't even show that part. All right, let me show that part. I don't even gotta play the damn music. All right, watch this. Look how empty these shelves are, man. It's coming up right after this. Look at this shit. Look at that. Nothing. Nothing. The forklifter can't forklift shit. And they're gonna set this up for, they're gonna set up these robots, with all this, 3D printed food source that they got. Everything is bioengineered, man. That's the sad part, all the way down to your little snacks, all the way down to the simplest foods is now bioengineered. All right. And bioengineered goes into a whole bunch of chemicals and pretty much, 3D printed. And when you do 3D printing, man, you can use all types of different materials just to create something. You see, this is what this devil's making. All right. And this is why he's starving you out and putting, dead bodies, DNA up in your food. All right. Because cannibalism is going to be a new thing. All right. Let's grab that real quick. Así que triste es tener que decir adiós después de tantos años. The guy saying how sad it is to tell you that after 21 years, I have to say adios to Pacific Cycle. After 21 years, look at that, man. People that have been in a job for 21 years being laid off disrespectfully right in front of your face. Esau telling you, I don't give a shit how long you been here. You got to go. Showing you that these devils never cared about you, man. That's why when it comes, hey, we got to work, to survive. Because if you don't work, you don't eat, But that's why I ain't never cared about no job, growing up. Because I've always realized how people never gave a shit about you, man. These people just use you, especially us being under curses, man. You know what I'm saying? We get used and abused in these jobs for what these people want. And they never appreciate it, man. They could care less about you. I done seen that shit, even before these pandemics and before I came to the truth. I done seen people that been in jobs for 20 something years, man. And then they just be like, yeah, we don't need you no more. just replace you just like that. That's a disrespect to people, man. All right. But that's how Esau Edom works, man. All right. But let's grab these scriptures, right? This is Lamentations. All right. Going into, it's going to be a lot of cannibalism out here, man, because, the lack of food, the lack of bread. All right. This is Lamentations 4:9. And it says, better that they that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away stricken through for the want of fruits of the field. Excuse me. The hands of the pitiful women have soddened their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. Okay. And Baruch tells you the same thing, man. Great plagues, as was prophesied in Moses, man, that a man shall eat the flesh of his own daughters, all right, his own sons, all right, because there's gonna be no food in those days, man. All right, you're gonna have women, wicked as hell, secretly eating their children in the siege, like it tells you in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. All right, because once we're in that siege, that goes into what? Us being locked down. All right, people gonna be doing some funny bunny shit, man, behind closed doors. All right. People gonna be eating their pets. You're gonna see people. Hey, how was it in the time of Samaria, man? All right, when you had the woman that argued with the other woman because the one day they were supposed to eat their son. All right, as a matter of fact, let me just grab it real quick. This is you had donkey's ass was worth 40 score pieces of silver. All right, what is that? 1 Kings 25. 1 Kings 6:25, I believe. It might be second. Yeah, I think it's 2 Kings. This is 2 Kings 26:25. Yeah, and there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it. All right, they locked it down. Okay, and this is what's coming to America, man. A great famine. All right, as the Lord said. Let me grab that real quick, and I'll go back to that. This is second. Oh, damn, I need to go on that actually. Hold on, let me switch this second Kings 6 to the blue letter, so I could use the 16:11. 6:24. All right, and then I'll use the 16:11 for 2 Ezra's 15. 2 Ezra's 15 and 5. It says, behold, saith the Lord Yahawashi, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. You see, for wickedness has exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Okay, Let's jump down to 11. It says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt with plagues as before. See, showing you that this is a different type of Egypt is speaking of, which is America. All right, because America is spiritually known as Sodom and Egypt. Okay, so it says, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm and smite Egypt with plagues as before. So one of the plagues that was in Egypt, right, was famine. You see, same thing is going to happen here, man. You see, history repeats itself, showing you there's no new thing under the sun, showing you that the same spirits in those days are here today. All right, so it's just a rerun of what happened in the ancient world. All right, but even worse is going to be this time, because this is going to be a time that has never been seen under the whole heaven. Okay, but it says, but Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Okay, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Yahweh shall bring upon it. All right, 13. They that till the ground shall mourn. You see, the farmers are mourning now. You know, farmers are constantly raising up against the government, because you got Bill Gates that's taking over all these farms. All right, you got all these farms that, you know, you can't have a farm unless you're connected with Monsanto, you know, and use our GMO seeds, and they don't want to be partakers of that. All right, so you know the farm system is pretty much, you know, fading away also. All right, so if the farmers fade away, then how are we gonna be able to get these foods, man? The little bit of naturalness that we still have, all right, it's gonna be gone. All right, and that's all planned out and orchestrated by design from these elites, man, so they could bring in their type of foods, their defiled bread, all right, which we already been eating defiled bread amongst the Gentiles, but now what they're trying to bring is food that's going to completely take you out the way. You know, it's going to completely depopulate your ass, all right, because everything is completely chemicalized, and these chemicals are pretty much witchcraft, right, which are able to, you know, hit certain parts of your brain to make you act certain way, act different. You know, pretty much these foods come with demons, man, and these demons are going to attack you in your mind. You see, so it says, they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail and with the fearful constellation. All right, you have all this manipulation of weather. All right, just like we brought out the first two, you know, videos, that you got a crazy ass winter era coming upon us. All right, and what's going to happen is that's just going to mess up if we even make it that far. But when it comes to us coming to the month of Abib, all right, it's going to be hard for us to even grow crops, because everything's going to be late, messed up. You see, which this devil, you know, through his, you know, heart stations, he knows how to manipulate things like that, man. So we don't have, you know, rain, or we don't be able to have, you know, crops growing in the right seasons. We can't even tell the seasons anymore. You see, it says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. You see, this is what Ezra was saying, man. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. All right, because they know not Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. So by them not knowing, when these things come upon them, they're gonna panic. Okay. Now let's go back to 2 Kings, all right, 6:24. And it says, and it came to pass after this, so like 25, and there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it. It was locked down until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver. Okay, going into what? That's 8 pieces of silver. All right. It says, and the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung, all right, for 5 pieces of silver. So you had literally, all right, people eating you know, dove shit, man, because there was nothing to eat. All right, this is why a lot of these people gonna turn to cannibalism, man. You're gonna see friends that were, you know, people that were enemies, all right, they're gonna be turning into friends. You know, friends that you might have known, shit, they're gonna be trying to hunt you down to eat you. You know, that's the times that we're entering into. All right, it says, and as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, help, my lord, O king. And he said, if the Lord Yahweh does not help thee, when shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor or out of the winepress? And the king said unto her, what aileth thee? And she answered, this woman said unto me, give thy son that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So we boiled my son and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, give thy son that we may eat him. And she had hid her son. You see, people gonna get, conniving in those days, man. They're gonna be slick. Desperate times gonna cause for desperate measures. Okay, so people gonna go wild and crazy. You gonna have people eating each other and trying to hide somebody from somebody else. All right. Again, you're gonna have friends. All right, let's grab that. I believe that's in Isaiah the 9th chapter. All right, this is Isaiah 9 and one second, I know it's here. Actually, that's the wrong scripture, but this is the spirit, I'll bring it out. This is Isaiah 9 and 20. It says, and he, actually, I'll go up a little bit. 19, through the wrath of the Lord Yahweh of hosts is the land darkened. Okay, and the people shall be as the fuel of the fire. No man shall spare his brother, and he shall snatch on the right hand and be hungry, and he shall eat on the left hand, and they shall not be satisfied. They shall eat every man the flesh of his own arm. All right, let's grab this one. And enemies shall be friends in the siege in KJV. Yeah, this is it. This is Jeremiah 19 and 9, and it says, and I will cause them to eat the flesh of their sons and the flesh of their daughters, and they shall eat every one the flesh of his friend in the siege and straightness, wherewith their enemies. You see, you're gonna literally be piled up together with your enemies, man. It's having a good conversation about how the hell y'all about to eat each other, or how y'all about to eat somebody. All right. As a matter of fact, what was that one movie back in the day? Was bugged out with what's her name? Girl that does Blind Side, white girl, Sandra Bullock. I think it was called Bird Box. I think that's what it was. Bird Box. You had people trying to team up and run after her to eat her. All right. That's the same scenarios you're gonna have in these days, man. It says, wherewith their enemies, and they shall seek their lives, and they that seek their lives shall straighten them. You see? But at the end of the day, we're not going to worry about these things, because Yahweh Bashim Yahushua said that, he going to let his servants eat, man. All right, let's grab that. This is Matthew, real quick. And you got to remember, as the scriptures say, everything written aforetime is written for your learning. So you have to take it into mind the accounts that you have read. You had what was his name that was locked up, and then you had the raven, all right, come and basically bring him food. Same thing with Daniel. Daniel was locked up and he had food brought to him. All right, these are things that you have to take account and remember, that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is always going to feed his servants. Okay, this is Matthew 6 and where's it at? 1 second. This is 6 and 25. 25. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, nor yet for your body, what ye shall put on. It is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment. Behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are you not much more, Salaki, are you not much better than they? You see? So if the heavenly Father is going to be, he feed his animals every single day, all right, he's going to do the same with you. All right, he's going to make sure that you are taken care of, man. All right, just grab this. This is I believe it's Isaiah 65 or 66. Yeah, this is 65 and 13. It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servants shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. Okay. So, hey, man, that's something to look forward to, man. Knowing that Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah is going to be able to feed us in those days, man. All right, let me grab another video. All right, this is let me grab yeah, let me get these three real quick. This is a little screenshot I took. It says global Cloudflare outage causes error messages across the internet, possible cyber attack. Okay, which cyber attacks is going to be a definite thing, man. All right, that's going to be one of the plagues that we have received in Egypt. All right, darkness over the land. All right, well, we're going to have the same thing coming in a form of a cyber attack. All right, darkness is going to cover the land. All right, gross darkness to people. All right, that's why you're going to have a purge-like scenario out here. That's why you're going to have intensified Jacob's trouble when that cyber attack comes. All right, because there ain't gonna be no law. Hey, ain't gonna be no call of 911. Ain't gonna be calling for help. All right, it's gonna be every man for themselves when them lights go off. All right, and these heathens, all right, especially Esau, because his blessing is the sword. He been preparing for that. He can't wait. All right, till your ass got the lights off, man, so he could do some wicked shit behind closed doors. All right, with the lights out, he ain't got to worry about getting caught on the camera and things like that. You see. So that cyber attack is definitely coming. All right, you hear about it every day. All right, it says this is another article that says NATO is considering taking more aggressive measures, including preemptive strikes against Russia in response to its cyber attacks and airspace violations. Okay, let's grab another one on cyber attacks, right? It says grid attack, power grid attack.
Maryland, and she was a lonely white power lady looking for some companion. Clendaniel, a pleasant-looking woman, is 34-year-old Sarah Beth Clendaniel of Maryland, and she was a lonely white power lady looking for some companionship. So Sarah Beth went online and found an Orlando, Florida neo-Nazi group called Atomwaffen, run by this guy, 28-year-old Brandon Russell, and they became online text buddies. Together, they began to plot a way for Sarah Beth to shut down the entire electrical grid in Baltimore, a predominantly black city. The idea is that if they could plunge Baltimore into darkness, it would spark riots and civil unrest to precipitate a race war and governmental collapse. Their planning was no joke. They obtained
that's why you're going to have that purge-like scenario out there, man. All right. As a matter of fact, let's grab this. All right, because they're trying to purposely cut off these lights, man. This is Jeremiah 30:4. And it says, and these are the words that the Lord Yahweh spake concerning Israel and concerning Judah. For thus saith the Lord Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man does travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Okay, so Jacob's trouble, all right, consisting of you 12 tribes, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right, this is what's going to come to you, man. All right, and they're going to be like madmen sparing none, these damn Edomites. Okay, they not worried about, trying to be nice to you, man. They're going to come full-blown all out on you, all right? They can't wait All right, they drink the wine of violence, man. So they can't wait to commit violence out here. All right. This is Shalakia. This is Daniel 12:1, and it says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book." Okay, so those that are written in the book of life are the ones that will always turn back to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai and truly believe. All right, and those are going to be the ones that are saved. Okay, let's grab. Hold on. Let's go back real quick.
What attack in civil unrest to precipitate a race war and governmental collapse. Their planning was no joke. They obtained schematics for the Ring of Power substations in Baltimore, a predominantly black city. The idea is that if they could plunge Baltimore into darkness, it would spark riots and civil unrest to precipitate a race war and governmental collapse. Their planning was no joke. They obtained schematics for the Ring of Power substations surrounding Baltimore that Sarah Beth would attack with high-powered rifles designed to disable the infrastructure. Once one substation was down, she'd drive to the next one and take that one out, and so on and so on.
And this is why, you know, that famine of the word is coming, man. This is why the Lord says, "Seek ye the word, or seek ye the Lord while he may be found." All right. He said what in Ecclesiasticus 5:7. All right. "Make no tarrying to turn to the Lord. Put off not day to day. All right. For sudden destruction cometh upon you." Roughly paraphrasing it. You see? So we're not supposed to be, you know, putting off from day to day trying to seek the Lord, man. You got to seek the Lord right now while he may be found. All right. Because that famine of the word is coming. Amos 8:11. All right. Let's just grab that real quick. This is Amos 8:11. It says, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord Yahweh, and shall not find it." You see, they're gonna be going crazy like chickens when you cut their heads off, man. They keep running right after that. like their head is still attached. It's really just the nerves though. But that's what these people gonna be like. You see, they're gonna seek to and fro looking for prophets. All right, they ain't gonna find them. Then they're gonna know that a prophet have been among them. You know, they're gonna seek on the seek engine of the internet trying to find, you know, this truth or what they could do. Not gonna be able to find it because they done cut you off from the internet. You see, they done crashed the system to the point where they can't even bring it back. You know, they got major cyber attacks where, you know, cyber attacks are strong enough to cut and fry basically the circuits of these satellites, man. And these satellites won't be able to come back. There will be no way for them to restore power. It will take, you know, years basically. All right. So this is why, all right, you have to seek the Lord while he may be found. It says, "And in that day shall the fair virgins and young men faint for thirst." All right, they're gonna be fainting for thirst. Thirst of what? Having his word, wanting answers. You know, as it tells you in Isaiah the 24th chapter, man, there should be a crying for wine in the streets. All right, because they're gonna want to know answers of why these things are happening, what's going on, why are we not going back to normal. But the Lord said that he gonna cleave our tongue to the roof of our mouths. All right, so that we will not be a reprover onto this rebellious house. You see, once the Lord closes that spiritual arc, all right, that's it. Game over for you. If you got this word, hey, call Elohim La Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, may he be with you. But if he closed this door and you ain't receive it, all right, well, you pretty much beat. You see, you however long the Lord, you know, got you on a time limit for you, your time limit starts right then and there. You see, and it'll pretty much be a matter of time before, you know, the sword gets you, you know, and if the sword don't get you, hunger will get you. Okay. So let's go back real quick.
To purchase the rifle and ammo for Sarah Beth to use because she was a felon and unable to make the gun purchase herself. he assigned the same lieutenant to be her driver for the attack. Fortunately, the lieutenant was an FBI confidential human source assigned to monitor Brandon's domestic terrorist activities for the Bureau. When the source notified the FBI about the Baltimore plot, the agents began monitoring the planning and eventually arrested Brandon and Sarah Beth before they could put the Baltimore power grid at risk. Sarah Beth just pled guilty to the conspiracy charge, as well as being a felon in possession of a firearm. She's looking at up to 35 years in prison when sentenced, but if she cooperates against Brandon at his trial, she could end up getting her sentence significantly reduced. And that's where things stand. Let me know what you think about this case in the comments, and then follow me for daily crime.
I think
pleasant-looking woman is 34-year-old Sarah Beth Clendan.
I'm down for it. I want to see this cyber attack. You know, I'm just grab I'll grab one more and I'll call it a wrap. All right, this is I have one more. Give me 1 second. Hold on, just real quick. Actually, I got 2 more. I lied. Slovakia, because the last one is good. So this is ICE is putting air tags on all of us. All right. So, you know, tying it into, you know, Jacob's trouble. I ain't even gonna play the video. All right, but pretty much, you know, air tags going into all these different types of surveillance, man. All right, where they're able to hack into your phone. You know, they put cameras and cones and shit like that. All right, and what these things do is once they pick up your license plates, your license. All right, remember your license got a barcode also, so they already know who's in the car before they even pull you over. That's why when they come and tell you, let me get your license and registration, they bugged out for that because they already know who in the car. You know, all these machines and technology that these cars got, all right, they're able to, you know, pick up information. So these air tags, you know, are being used through ICE agents to be able to find and hack, pretty much run down on people at their exact locations, man. You see, that's all in tie with, you know, martial law. Jacob's trouble. Okay, so we have to be, you know, circumspect, as the scriptures say, redeeming the times because the day is evil. All right, we have to watch around us at all times. All right, not having our guard down, you know, always staying on our P's and Q's and you know, not getting, you know, slothful to the point where your ass, you know, done forgot that your enemy's constantly seeking whom he may devour, man. You see, so. Matter of fact, let me see how long it is actually. Yeah, it's a quick one. Hold on.
Can ICE track your car? Well, buckle up because the answer is yes, and it is way more dystopian than anyone thought. So here's what's happening. ICE isn't just out doing raids. They're now using a Motorola Thomson Reuters surveillance app that lets agents scan any license plate and instantly pull up everywhere that car has been. Parking lots, work, home, your kid's school. Every camera it passes, all stored, all mapped. And that's not even the scary part. This app builds patterns, so ICE can determine where you live, where you work, who you spend time with, and who drives near you often enough to also get flagged. Yeah, your neighbors, your coworkers, even someone who just shares your commute. This isn't finding criminals. This is building digital dossiers on anyone who crosses paths with the target, and it gets darker. ICE can use the same app to pull personal data, credit history, medical records, voter registration, marriage records, facial recognition. No warrant required. None. This is all happening while ICE detentions hit 60,000 people, over 70%.
And this is all part of that, you know, this technology, all these biometrics, these digital IDs. See, that's why they want to have you with that precursor of the digital IDs, because it's that much easier to track you, you know, and put you in that system. You know, this new world order has a new world system. So they gotta start getting you into the system somehow, some way, right? And they're gonna do it by things like this. All right. So by the time that they come and roll out that RFID, which is gonna be made mandatory, all right, it's just gonna be that much easier for you to comply, you know, through gradualism, you know, and convenience, and it's gonna be that much easier for them to connect you to the system because you're already pretty much 75% of the way there. You see.
With no criminal record. And remember, this isn't just plate scanning on ICE vehicles. Motorola runs a nationwide camera network feeding this system 24/7. Thomson Reuters sells ICE more personal data for millions of dollars. It's basically a government-grade AirTag, but on your entire life. Why does this matter? Because this tech doesn't stop with immigrants. Once the infrastructure exists, it can be used on anyone. And we already know agencies have stretched the rules. San Francisco police use local vehicle databases to run searches for ICE, even when the city had bans in place. So yeah, ICE can track your car. But the real story is that the government just built a system that can track all of us. All the guardrails, they don't exist. Can ICE track your car?
That shit heavy right there, boy. All right, this is the last one. And it says Trump warns of imminent attack in the coming days. All right, so whether it be a false flag or not, supposedly Trump has something in store like in the second week of December. All right, and let's see what it is. All right, let's see what this devil's gonna come out with. This is why we are watchmen, man, constantly warning you what's going on. All right, and staying on top of these things. So when that thing happens, all right, we're able to filter things through the scriptures. Okay.
How long before this happens? Minutes. In minutes before. We're on the verge. You're saying within days we're going to see something happen. Because this is what we did with Iran, that we gave ample notice to their commercial airlines. Do not overfly the Venezuela. That's exactly what the president has done. Well, you heard it. It's imminent in just days.
Developing news of an imminent attack that is going to be coming here in the next few days. Take a look at the latest headlines with me so you can see it for yourself. Trump signals imminent land attacks. As the tensions and rhetoric between the United States and Venezuela continue to rise, President Donald Trump has announced the closure of Venezuelan airspace, sparking fears of an imminent U.S. land attack. Venezuela calls Trump's call to close airspace a colonialist threat. You can see this coming out today. Venezuela condemns Trump airspace closure warning coming out in the last 19 hours. Is U.S. President Donald Trump preparing to strike Venezuela? Let me know your where they're saying yes and very soon. And take a look, the airspace over Venezuela completely clear. You can see this coming out 15 hours ago. And here's the actual True Social post that he put out over the weekend yesterday to all airlines, pilots, drug dealers, and human traffickers. Please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed.
The fact that he said all those, instead they're giving them warning instead of just going out there and which it was going into the Venezuelan people. All right, but what they need to be doing is telling, trying to catch those exact people here in America. But he over there trying to tell all these, drug dealers, these, sex traffickers, all this shit to, clear out the way for what's about to happen, instead of, coming out here in America and clearing out these damn dummies that are here in America doing the same shit. This devil wild, man.
How long before this happens? Minute.
To be closed in its entirety. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Let me know your thoughts. Are we about to see some serious attacks take place on Venezuela? We've heard the warnings, and now over the weekend, he's saying close the airspace. I'm going to play for you the video footage as they said this was the same thing that we saw happen with Iran, that there was that warning, and then shortly after, unexpectedly hit. We're hearing that could be coming here very soon.
How long before this happens?
Yeah, and the thing is that this devil's about breaking peace treaties, man. He'll try to make peace treaties with you, all right, and pretty much try to take you out the way. And there's a reason why he's attacking Venezuela, right? He wants their oil, all right, and not only that, they were one of the 9 countries, right? One of the 9 countries that were without a Rothschild-owned central bank. All right, you had Iran, all right, Cuba, and Venezuela was one, all right, and North Korea. And if you see all those, all right, are, pretty much have been taken, out the way, or, you had Esau basically trying to bomb them, all right, and make them go into war because they're not complying with the central bank system that's being brought, okay? So Iran was one, Cuba was one, Venezuela's the one that's coming up next. You see, they'll try to make you submit. If you don't want to, man, they'll force that shit upon you, man. That's what this devil does. All right. As a matter of fact, I'll end it with this one. All right. This is Micah 2:10, which it really it applies to us. All right. But you can apply Esau doing this to other nations. All right. It says, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. For when the when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. All right. Because the earth is given to the hands of the wicked. Right. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house and even a man in his heritage. Okay. So, you know, he'll force these things upon you, man. He'll come and take them by violence. All right. And straight, you know, take out your homes, your villages, whatever. All right. And oppress your ass for what he wants it for, whatever he needs. All right. That's why the so-called white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. Because he is one to take peace from the earth. He's always putting his nose somewhere so far up someone's ass they don't need to be there. You see? So, you know, he's always in someone's backyard. That's what a vagabond does. Okay, a vagabond is someone that don't have culture, that doesn't have a home. All right, he doesn't have a home. He doesn't have any culture, so he steals everybody else's. You see? But hey, that's pretty much all right. Going on these topics, all right, different types of topics that we had. So, you know, Lord willing, you were edified. With that being said, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawah, Barakatah Yahawah Shai, Kol Haloim La Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawah Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Aquat that was listening in. Yahawah Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, enduring as good soldiers of Yahawah Shai. Shalom, Yahawah Bashem, Yahawah Shai, Barakatah.